Well, hi everyone, and judging by the feedback I've had from the first video to do with my readings for a mystery person, it seems that quite a few of you are interested in this series, and I hope through doing this that it will give you some insight into your own life and how you actually engage with what happens in it. Our first subject, I'll tell you, is a man, and without planning it, I can tell you that the date that I'm doing this reading, which is the 20th of March 2011, actually accords very, very well with this man's numbers. There are some very overt clues to who this person is, who I will call Mr. A, but I won't be mentioning them for obvious reasons, but I hope you enjoy it. Right, what we're going to do is to go through each of your names one at a time, look at what each one is telling me, and then we'll put them all together and see if we can build a picture. So let's begin, and we'll go with your first name then. Now, this is telling me that you are here to be somebody who cares for others, is of service to others. And it's a deep caring. It's almost an inspired caring, because you're moving through life in an unusual way, and you look at life in an unusual way. And by unusual, I mean unusual to the way that society regards or is really convinced to look at life. So what you're doing is actually looking with a bird's eye view. It's almost like you're looking from the clouds and you're looking down and seeing what's going on and seeing well, you're actually looking into the future, because this track that you're on is one that's looking, well, coming from the past and going to the future and delivering to the present. So you see life in a different way to the vast majority of people. And because you're here to care and to be of service and to bring about harmony and to bring love into the world, your perceptions of right and wrong, of unfairness, etc., are acute. Now, one way that you deal with life is actually through silence, through meditation, through engaging with the spiritual side of life. And you will have had interests in, and you will have interests in all things metaphysical. You're not here to be somebody who's aggressive or loud or even physical, really. It's more like you inspire people by your own actions. But you're definitely here to be somebody who people notice. Even though this isn't something that you would really be aiming for, because it's more that your message is something you want noticed. But in this world, you'll have to stand up and be noticed for your message to come across. You are an inspirer, you are a leader, but in a quiet way. and you know how to engage a group of people or a crowd of people, or as many as you like, really. You are a communicator, but you're a communicator in a unique way. You're not somebody who shouts around or self-promotes or in any way promotes yourself as somebody who's more worthy of being listened to than anyone else. You'll have dealings with the law, and actually at some point you'll have to, in your life, you will have to address a court or speak to people who are in power, because your lessons are very much involved with law and legislation. You may even be a lawyer. As these matters are in your names, they're obviously things for you to learn from and to consider. Our names are our lessons, as I said in the previous video. They're not who we are, they're what we're learning to be, and the more we engage with these lessons, then if we're wise, we learn from them, and we actually grow in the potentials of those vibrations. So let's go on to your middle name. For you, there's quite a different lot of aspects and ambitions and things going on in there. There's more than one track. There's kind of different possibilities, different routes you could go through in life, and at some point you will choose which one is for you. Now, the first one is a bit different when you look at it from what your first name is telling us. And what this one is wanting to do is actually be a leader, to be in charge, to learn about rules, to learn about restrictions, to learn about conflict, to learn about gathering possessions and people and power. Now, what I would like to say just here now is that just because we're learning about these things, and there are secret ambitions to learn about these things, doesn't mean that that's what we have to be. You can learn about power and finances and law and all of these things that are to do with this vibration that I'm talking about in your middle name. But it doesn't mean you have to go along with it. You can just learn about it, and you become wise about it, and you know how to deal with it. So this may be why this frequency is in your chart. It may be that, you know, you've got to make a choice which way to go. Are you going to go with the established, conventional power of being in charge? What I say goes. This is the law, stick by it. This, that, you know, that kind of thing. Or are you just going to be watching, learning, knowing how to deal with it because you've engaged with that energy? That's a choice you'll have to make. The other track that you can go down is very different. Now, this is one that has to do with freedom, with compassion, with universal love, with being somebody who accepts there is a much greater reason for being alive than accumulation, a much more valuable way of being than gaining power and influence and money and abiding by every law there is. There are certain laws that are unjust, and you will do something about that. You'll travel from one side of the world to the other. There's long distance travel here, and you'll probably live somewhere else in the world as well. But this is a bit of a gypsy vibration here, because it's a coming and going. It's kind of wherever you go, you'll want to come back, and then you'll go away and you'll come back, and eventually, when you've learned the lesson of this travel and new people and new ways of living, new cultures, and experienced, other thoughts and religions and cultures, etc., etc., that will increase your wisdom, because you're actually then working with this last vibration I was talking about in your middle name. You're accumulating wisdom, and this will have a purpose. This will what should we say, encourage you to harmonize these things together then, and your ambition will be much more empowered. Your destiny, if you learn from these lessons that are coming through your middle name, your destiny will be highly evolved and be something that will influence a lot of people. This vibration I'm talking about in your middle name is one that has the potential to bring about huge changes, to help and bring a better life to lots of people. And the other thing is as well, that what you do will be remembered, and long after you're gone, your influence will continue, the influence that you've had on the world. So let's have a look at your last name. Now, your last name has similarities to both your first and middle name. The vibrational patterns have similarities, so they go together well. But your last name shows other things. One, that you're going to have the choice between being someone who is a bit of a ranter, someone like an Alex Jones, who really kind of drives into people's consciousness, and you've got to wake up, you've got to listen to me, that kind of stuff. The other way that you could deal with life is through silence, through your actions speaking, through and even your inaction speaking. It's definitely one that's here to communicate, but communicate in a way that's has compassion, has care, it's peaceful. It's somebody who really is here to learn about acceptance, but to discard what it is that isn't useful. It's about it's about the, if you looked at a clock, it's about the 1 minute to midnight. So it's that part of the vibrational system whereby you're causing things to change, things that are of no longer any use or are immoral or anything like that. You're learning about discarding them, to turning your back on them, to removing them, because there's a better way coming. And before that better way can come, room has to be made. Other lessons that your last name learning about are to do with children, and usually animals too, and the elderly. And separations to do with them. In some way you will be having to experience those separations. Now I leave that up to you to make your own mind up about, because that's your business. But what is important is that you're learning about the end never comes. Everything is a constant circle, constant movement. Everything is going round to change, to change, to change. And what isn't useful anymore will have its day. And sometimes in the human environment, human beings are here to help bring about that completion, and somebody with your numbers would be. So that's written into your last name, but it's also suggested in both your other names. So let's look at what your full name has to tell us. Now really, when I look at it, it's just a confirmation of all the other energies that each single name is saying. So really, this shows that there's something very important around these frequencies. But your full name shows me, without any doubt whatsoever, that you are a messenger. You've got the angel number, you've got the 16. The 16 is probably the most powerful of all the frequencies in the natural environment. And this shows you've got well, an enhanced 16 as well, actually. But you're here because your full name suggests your destiny. If you go to your fullest potential, it can be a very powerful and very, well, an amazing destiny. But that's got a lot to do with your conquering of fear and conventions. But you're here to break things apart if necessary, but you'll do them in ways that your other frequency patterns say, which is what I said about peace and about silence and about this kind of expansive view that you have from your cloud. And you'll do it in a way that is very surprising, very challenging to people around you, or people who try to control you, because this energy will not be controlled. It may be to a certain point, but there will come a time when bang, they wish they hadn't. And that doesn't mean that you will achieve it through violence, although it can do. But what it does mean is that whatever it is that you do is channeled through you. It's not something that you as a person decides, I'm going to do it. Because 16s are actually messengers and channels. I mean, not that I like that word, but it's quite a good description really, because what you say, what you do, is actually motivated through other forces. And if you're somebody who's here caring for other people, being of service and love and all this kind of stuff which your other numbers suggest, then if you're going with that, then you can be sure that whatever it is that you say or do is inspired and benevolently inspired. So the more you work towards light and goodness and kindness, etc., etc., then the better that channel will be. The less you accumulate, the better that channel will be. And that's accumulation of anything at all. It's finances, problems, people, all the rest of it that you've got responsibilities for, that you've got to do this for, you know. So what you'll do in life, yes, you'll accumulate friends or allies or whatever, but you will always be apart from them, because this energy needs to be one step removed. So even though you could be in a crowd of people, people will see you as being one step removed from everybody else, because that is necessary. It's vital that you do have this room then to be able to bring this energy through into this world to achieve what it is that you're here to achieve, which again is this regular number that's coming up in your chart that shows that you're here to actually bring about change, to remove obstacles, to remove limitations, to bring about compassion and benevolence and well, universal love really. Now, if this was a regular reading with a regular client, I'd go in a lot deeper into these characteristics and what these numbers are telling me. The other thing that I do is to go into the other names and go in deeply with those too, like nicknames, etc. But it's not really that necessary in Mr. A's case, because the nicknames I have actually accord very well with what we've talked about already, and I would say there's probably a lot of clues in what I've said already as to who Mr. A is. So what we'll do now is go on to the birth date, which also reflects the same numbers that were in Mr. A's names. But what it does do as well is, because it does this, is actually enhance what we've already said before. So Mr. A has done this stuff before. I have a current theory, which I wouldn't say is definitely right, but I feel could be. And that is that astrology is an astrology reading then is much closer to our essential selves without the programming. But our essential selves, as I've mentioned before, is very difficult to express in this contained world. So our numerology reads our programming rather than our essential self, although there's no reason why our essential self cannot be the same as our numerology profile, if you understand what I mean. I'm sure that the infinite consciousness can easily insert certain people into this world, and those people's numerology profile, their programming, will be the same as their essential self. And looking at this guy's numbers, I suspect that this guy's been here before. He's done what he's done before, doing what he's doing now. Because his birth date accords so well with the letters of his name. He has experience of how to deal with what he deals with, what he's dealt with. So I won't go into his birth date, because what I said before in his names it'll just be a repetition really of what's been said. As I said before, if this was a client who was having a consultation, then I would go into all this, but that's not really the point of these videos or visios as I kind of mistyped in my message to my news group. But what happens is, well, because the birth date and the full name are so in tune, when you get down to this new beginning in life, this life begins at 40 kind of thing, which is right. I mean, that's what happens. A new life really, because everything amalgamates and gives us other lessons, and we're more mature, as I said in the first video. So what's happened with this person's numerology chart is that the numbers come to the same as their full name's number and birth date number. So we're just going in for repetition. So I hope you've had enough clues, and I'm pretty sure you have, because well, to me you have. And what I'll do is let you know very soon who Mr. A is, and I hope you get it right. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope I've come across in an understandable way. As I said, I've not done this before, and it's much easier to actually have somebody there who you can actually kind of interact with, and I like people to ask me questions as well, so that I can give them feedback on whatever. whatever it is that is concerning them at the time, etc. So, but anyway, there we are, and have a great day, and thank you again for listening.